Hello Electroheads and welcome to this review of the VW ID.7 Tourer. An unusual family car in my opinion because actually most electric family cars are SUVs and this is an estate car. So I've been putting it through its paces not for 1 week but for 2 weeks to see if it can be the perfect family car. I don't have a family but I've pretended that I do, which has made me look a little bit weird. But without further ado, let's get on with the review of this car by looking at the spec. The ID.7 Tourer is Volkswagen's first ever battery electric estate car and one of the first electric estates in the upper mid-sized class to go on sale. With 5 people on board, the ID.7 can accommodate up to 605 litres of luggage, which is pretty good, but this figure goes up to an astonishing 1700 litres with the rear seats folded down. The Pro S version with the 86 kWh battery offers a range of up to 424 miles, which would be enough to drive from London to Edinburgh without needing to stop and charge, though if you attempted that, you wouldn't make it because the real world range is more like 300 to 350 miles. It can be charged with up to 200 kilowatts, so a rapid charge from 10 to 80% at a public DC station can take as little as 26 minutes. The ID.7 Tourer uses Volkswagen's APP 550 electric drive motor, very catchily named, which offers 286 PS of power and 545 Newton meters of torque. It can accelerate the car from standstill to 62 miles an hour in 6.7 seconds and provides a top speed of 112 miles an hour. Safety is the name of the game on this car, with autonomous emergency braking, with pedestrian and cyclist monitoring, lane assist and side assist, traffic assist, rear traffic alert, traffic jam assist, and emergency assist, plus forward collision warning including swerve support. The price range of the ID.7 is from £45,000 to £60,000 depending on spec. So I just want to give you a bit of a bird's eye view of the cockpit. We've got controls that you'll be familiar with if you've driven an ID series car before. So we've got our adaptive cruise control and driver assist settings here. This button will basically allow you to set the distance that you are away from the car in front of you. You've got the different modes of driver assist. So you've got the semi-automatic assistance, which is kind of semi-autonomous driving, adaptive cruise control and speed limiter. Over here we've got a steering wheel, heater, and we've got some controls for the infotainment system and then voice assist activation there. And then on the actual infotainment system itself, I have to say, this one is really good. This bigger screen for a start makes it a lot better. The only thing I don't quite like is having to get into here for just controlling the climate system. It's just a bit hard to hit these buttons. But yeah, really kind of nice space to be in here, I have to say. So this is the view from the back. I have probably I've got quite a bit of headroom there, even though I sit up really straight, I'm only just about hitting the top. Just a really nice space to be. I've got a ton of legroom. Let me just see if I can show you that. Loads of legroom, actually. And then we've got some controls down here. And yeah, we've got the speakers in the back as well. So the sound system in this car is absolutely brilliant. Okay, so please forgive me. I actually have loads of stuff in the boot, but I'm going to use the remote control to open the boot. Notice I've got my charging cable there, which does actually go into space underneath, but I just used it, so I was too lazy to put it away. Generally a load of random party stuff here, but there is tons of it, and you can see it goes quite far back into this space as well. So great thing about this car is you've got a really deep boot. This is way more spacious than any electric SUV that I've driven. If I was looking for a family car right now and I needed space, this is what I would be going for, because you just get a ton more space on an estate than you do an SUV because it's not so squished from front to back. I think this is a really good family all-rounder. So what's the standout feature of this car then? For me, it would be the 420 mile WLTP range, which is an incredibly impressive feature, especially for a car of this size. It's not a huge car from the outside. It does feel like one on the inside. That figure, 420 miles WLTP, obviously you never quite get that claimed range out of an electric car, but I have to say, while I've been driving this, probably done about 600 or 700 miles on the motorways in this car, the range is around 300 miles for motorway driving, which is astonishingly good. And it does actually stick to that range as well. So if it tells you it has 300 miles in the tank, so to speak, then it does. It's an incredibly comfortable and relaxing, serene car to be in. Probably the most important thing for me is the semi-autonomous driving, and this is the best example I've experienced of it in the ID.7 out of the whole ID range. I think VW's semi-autonomous driving is second only to Tesla at the moment. You can also set the distance that you want to be from the car in front of you on the adaptive cruise control as well. So you can have a long braking zone or you can have a shorter braking zone. And here we have a police van, which is not going to catch me for speeding because I'm set to 67 miles an hour. But we should just give them a little wave anyway. The other really impressive feature I find on this car that is better than any VW I've driven and almost any other car that I've driven recently is the heads-up display. It's a thin band that has semi-autonomous driving settings on the left-hand side. In the centre it's telling me the speed limit and my speed, and on the right-hand side I've got it programmed to tell me my driving efficiency at the moment. By the way, it's snow around us right now. It's absolutely amazing driving here. Sorry, slightly distracting. But what isn't distracting is the heads-up display in the centre. If I'm going too close to the edge of the lane, it shows me a little curve in orange or red to come back round to a certain side. If a car pulls out in front of me, it shows a little light underneath the car, which almost looks kind of like a Mario Kart graphic or something. I couldn't really see the point in that and thought it was slightly pointless until I was driving yesterday in torrential rain and really low visibility, and the car could still detect cars hundreds of yards in front of me and show me where they were with those little strips of light. It seemed to have better visibility than me in that situation. And wow, just driving over Bodmin Moors at the moment, and it is absolutely phenomenal, covered in snow. Come down to Cornwall quite often and I've never seen it like this. It's absolutely stunning. So other than being a supremely comfortable motorway superstar, what else is this car good for? Well, it's a rear-wheel drive car with a 0 to 60 time of 6.7 seconds, so it's by no means slow. It corners really well, it handles really well. There's a very low centre of gravity on this. It's actually like a fairly small profile car. I've driven a lot of estates, and sometimes you're very conscious about all that booty, all that junk up in the trunk. But actually, this feels, for an estate car, like it is fairly compact. Once you get used to the dimensions and get the spatial awareness right, it's brilliant. Not that you need that, because actually it's got so many sensors and cameras on it that it would be very hard to ever, drive this car into anything, reverse it into anything. It's got the overhead parking view, which makes it incredibly easy to get into a bay parking space. It's got parking assist, which will not only help you park, but then remember how you got into the space and get you back out again the same way. So, really this car is designed to just do a lot of the work for you and take a lot of the stress out of it for you. The thing that always kind of comes up for me when you're talking about electric cars like this, if it wasn't electric, it would probably be, I would say, a 40 to 50k car, but it is electric, so it's a starting price is around £50,000. So the thing that always comes up is like, is it really worth 60k? And the thing that I have to try and explain to people who haven't really driven many electric cars, it's like, oh, I'm not paying 60k for a Volkswagen, but this isn't a Polo, and it's not a Passat, as great a car as a VW Passat is. This is very much a luxury car. Yeah, it's got a VW badge on it, but it's incredibly similar, for all intents and purposes, to the Audi e-tron GT that I drove not too long ago, which is also an excellent car. But this is, it's got the same massage seats, it's got a lot of the same features on it, and it kind of feels similar when you're in here. Yes, to me it is worth £60,000, even though it's a VW. So this is one of a very small number of electric estate cars, and I can't for the life of me now think why there aren't more, because this just 100% makes sense to me as a form factor. The thing for me is like, it's so spacious, and a lot of the time when I'm driving in an SUV that's electric, I feel like I'm quite up high because of the battery platform underneath it, but despite that I don't feel like I've got much headroom. This, I've got loads of headroom. I feel like I'm quite low and the car's got a good low centre of gravity, and there's just a ridiculous amount of space in this car. 1,000 litres of storage space if you don't have anyone on the back seats. It makes a ton of sense to me, this car. I really hope it signals the start of something, which is that we don't need the same, or like several variations of the same compact SUV made by every different car company. What would actually make way more sense for a family is a car like this. I kind of felt like a bit of a love letter to this car, and actually the more I drive it, the more I wish I didn't have to give it back to VW. So I've just hit a bit of traffic and awkwardly there is an ID.4 in front of me just after I was saying that I felt like the ID.7 was a way better car. So slightly awkward, but what I'm going to do is set the autonomous driving speed to 20 miles an hour and it's just going to drive in the traffic for me. And then I'm going to eat a Cornish pasty. It doesn't get much better than this. Surrounded by snow, car's doing the driving for me, and I've got a Cornish pasty. A bit of potato there, I think. You can't really beat a Cornish pasty, can you? It's like everything you need all in one tasty, flaky pastry. So just while I'm finishing my pasty there, if you're enjoying this video, then why not subscribe to the channel? If you don't, the other YouTubers will make fun of me, and I'll cry. Right, so I've just stopped in possibly the most beautiful place on earth. There's snow-capped hills around here, and I can see the sea behind, and the sun is setting just over there as well, so it's pretty magnificent. I did want to give some criticisms of the car, just so I make sure that I'm being balanced and not bowled over by the love that's developing for it. Number one, the assisted driving, whilst I said it is the second best, I think, behind Tesla, it does seem to have these sort of like funny 5 minutes moments sometimes. So I find on the motorway it's absolutely incredible, and on a dual carriageway it's absolutely incredible, but when you're on maybe an A road or a B road that's single track, sometimes it decides it really wants to hug the white line in the middle of the road. That is slightly unnerving, but you are supposed to have at least one hand on that steering wheel at all times and be in control of it, and if you do have a hand on the steering wheel, then it's absolutely fine. To me, more than anything, it's just a gentle reminder that the world is not ready for fully autonomous driving yet. Okay, so criticism number two. This is also kind of to do with the autonomous driving, and actually my real only criticisms of this car are not with the manual driving experience or with the practicality of it, which is all excellent. It's just to do with that autonomous driving system, and these are things that could be patched over the air at some point. But I do find that, so if say you're in a 60 mile an hour zone, you set the adaptive cruise control and the semi-autonomous driving to 60 miles an hour. If the car spots a 40 mile an hour sign, but that 40 mile an hour sign is on a road that you're not on, then what I do find is that it detects that, thinks you're now in a 40 zone, and immediately reduces your speed from 60 to 40, which you can override just by tapping the accelerator and resetting the speed to 60 mile an hour. But for the person who's following you, you've just suddenly slowed down from 60 to 40 for absolutely no reason. And I do think that is at best annoying, at worst slightly dangerous, so that's something that needs to be fixed. In terms of other criticisms, one of my initial ones was visibility out of the rear of the car, but as I've gotten used to it, actually that's become not a problem whatsoever, and I've really kind of started to rely more on the wing mirrors, and actually you just get used to having that smaller window out the back of the car, which is something that's quite common on EVs anyway. So 2.5 criticisms there, which is not bad considering I've been driving this for 2 weeks. Okay, so I better come clean here. I was having so much fun driving this car that I actually forgot to record an outro. Idiot! That's bad form, but I've said a lot in this video and you've probably had enough of me by now, so maybe it's a good thing. I'd like to hear from you. Do you have any questions about this car? About the hat I was wearing at the start of the video? Or just any general knowledge questions that you think I might know the answer to? Then let me know in the comments below and I'll write back to you because I love you. Thanks for watching.